Welcome to the WorkHearter Mama podcast with Michelle. I'm Michelle Hollingsworth, and this is a podcast for moms who want to work with heart wholeheartedly instead of just working harder. Hi, everybody. This is Michelle Hollingsworth with the Work Harder Mama podcast. And today I am honored to have Julie Perry, who is a local nurse practitioner with me. She's a Tennessee native. She graduated from Lipscomb and Vanderbilt universities. She's been a nurse practitioner for over 25 years. She has experience in internal medicine, critical care, endocrinology.
Endocrinology,
Thank
yes.
you. And wellness. Julie takes pride in serving residents of Tennessee who are seeking to improve their health. And she came to functional medicine as a patient herself. So she understands the challenges going years without answers, problems such as headaches, fatigue, and pain. Her approach to healthcare involves changing the focus to well care. And she utilizes a blend of traditional and functional medicine tailored to each patient. So thank you, Julie, for being on here today. I so appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be on.
Awesome. Since you've been a nurse practitioner for 25 years, I'd like to ask you what led you to start your functional medicine business?
That's a great question. I loved what I did in traditional medicine. I ended my career in critical care, and as an NP, that's kind of like one of the highest you can go is to do
Mm,
something really hard. It felt like there was just something missing, and especially after the pandemic, we just kept seeing people get sicker and sicker, and they weren't getting better. And it was frustrating as a provider to not be able to turn things around. We could save your life, but was your quality of life any better?
mm,
And so I just started looking into kind of my roots. I started out in wellness, and I was always interested in holistic care with my own children. And I thought that was a direction I wanted to go in. And it's been very satisfying to see people get better and their quality of life improve since I started my business. It's very important to me to end my career that way.
Awesome. So what would you say you enjoy most about owning your own business? If you had to pick one thing.
The the autonomy, I mean,
Okay.
you're your own boss. You set your schedule for the day. There are downsides to that
Oh,
because
yeah.
you can't pass anything off to anyone else, but I love being able to have that flexibility in my schedule. I'm virtual, so I don't have a
Okay.
commute anymore. I could work from anywhere. So those are all very, very good positives.
Oh, that's awesome that you're virtual. So
Mhm.
you can do like televisits.
Correct.
Oh,
I do.
that's great.
Mhm.
So on the flip side of that, what, if anything, keeps you up at night? It could be work related or life related in this phase of your life.
Not much anymore. I would say, this is going to be the first year that I'm filing business taxes, but I've found someone to pass it off to, and that's very important to me is to find things that I can delegate and pass off because I know what my limits are, and trying to do business taxes is not something that's going to be a forte of mine.
Right.
So now that I've passed that off, that's taken a lot of angst off of me. But honestly, not a lot keeps me up at night. I still don't sleep good because of menopause,
Oh yeah.
but but it's
Yeah,
not
like
anxiety keeping me up.
oh
But
yeah.
and used to when I worked in traditional medicine, I would be up quite a bit. I'd worry about events of the day and
Mm,
go over things in my head. But I don't have to do that anymore, and that's such a blessing.
that is a blessing. Also in the menopause stage of life. So I totally relate to the not sleeping well.
Yes.
I'm trying all the herbs and natural
Mhm.
remedies that I can right now. It comes and goes, it's one of those things that, you think you've got it down and then nope,
That is
something
so
new.
true. That's so true. Yeah. I do
Um,
things too. So.
you do, yeah,
Mhm.
natural. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
And
that's great.
I do bioidentical hormones
Oh,
too.
okay. All right. So Lenny ladies listening, if you need help, that this sounds like the place to go with Julie. She can try to
Yeah.
help this phase of life for sure.
Yeah, and I do a spectrum. So if
Okay.
you're not a candidate for bioidentical or it's just not something that you want to do, then I have, holistic things in my arsenal, but if you want to
Yeah,
go all the way and do the bioidenticals, then I'm specially trained in that as well.
that's great. Also, as a business owner myself, I think delegating tasks that are not in your wheelhouse, like you said,
Yes.
is way up there with getting rid of stress and relieving some of that anxiety that could cause you because even though we're business owners and you're trying to be a leader, it doesn't matter, I think, if you're male or female, but just trying to do things you're not comfortable with or experienced in is stressful in itself. And so pushing that off to someone who's way more capable or experienced takes a load off, at least in my experience. So I think that was smart of you to do.
Yeah, I agree. Because you're a leader doesn't mean you have to do everything.
That's right.
I
That's
think you
right.
need to, I think you need to know how to dip your toes in it, but I don't think you have to be good at everything. You need to
No.
concentrate on what your strengths are and then
Yeah.
pass the other things off. I have a VA team that does my social media and graphics and things like that. I'm not good at that either. I'm getting
Right.
better. I'm,
Right.
getting in it, but they're much better at it than me. So,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I totally agree. As
yeah.
many things as I can delegate to someone who that's their strength, then I
Hmm.
can focus on what my strengths are and not, be weakened by doing 20 different things that I don't know how to do well. So I think that comes
Totally.
with age and wisdom too, that we realize what we can do and what we can't.
Well, that's true. If I hadn't started my business in my 50s, I may have had a different perspective. So
Right.
when you're young, you think you can do everything and that you're
Yeah,
supposed to do everything. But I think I think starting my business later in life has given me a little bit more wisdom, as you say.
I agree. Okay. Well, great. Switching gears just a little bit. How does your faith, you had shared that you were a Christian. So how has your faith played a role in your business or your home life?
It's the cornerstone of everything I do. I was blessed to be raised by Christian parents, grandparents, so forth. So a lot of good influences in my life. And as you grow into your own person, that your faith becomes your own and not your family's. Faith is very important in my home. It affects decisions you make on a daily basis. You don't participate in some things. My children know you don't post certain things on social media. You don't, you shouldn't be involved in that. You don't want to be identified as that. As a business owner, I try to live by the verse that says everything that you do,
Mhm.
everything that you work at, do it as you're working for the Lord, because this is, to me, it's God's work, and the money that you make isn't really your money. It's God's money. And if you're blessed with being successful in your business, that's God entrusting you with something to do good with. So that's what I try to live by.
Totally agreed. So that verse is Colossians that you just stated, the work harder verse that I use for this podcast. And I also agree that everything we have is from God. Children, our home, our health, finances, our business, any kind of favor we get with the world, that's all from
I
God. So I agree
agree.
with you. We have similar outlooks on that. Okay, next question. So, what season of motherhood do you find yourself in? And when I ask that question, I always like to let people know I'm not talking about if your kids, babies, toddlers, adolescents, teens, or adults, but what season of motherhood are you in as a mom? Because when we have our kids, we're growing up along with them, especially our first kid. If we have more than one, we're learning as we go. And so we go through seasons of motherhood ourselves. And so it could be repeated seasons because we're relearning or we're learning something new about our children. But what season do you find yourself in? I know you said you're in your 50s, but what season do you find yourself in as a mother?
Well, this is my favorite season. I mean, I miss my kids being small. I really do. But it's a labor of love to be a mom to young children. And my children are old. My children are 20 and 17. And I feel like I'm in a season of developing more of a friendship with them
Mhm.
than just a parent. And And it was important to me not to be my kid's friend when I was raising them as young children. I was their mom first. But now that we've kind of gotten through a lot of the hard part, I feel like I can focus on just our friendship, our relationship. My daughter's 20 and she's my little bestie and we like to do things together and I feel like she could come to me for anything. And I have a son that's 17 and he's about to graduate high school, but it's a fun season to be in to kind of relinquish some of that, watching everything they do and uh,
Hmm.
watching them become their own
Hmm.
person with their own values. It's very satisfying.
Yeah. And you get to see all the work you've put in kind of come to like like you said, you're relinquishing a lot of that. It's kind of like relating to a business owner that's delegating. You're
Yes.
having to relinquish all the things you did to let them go on their own and see what they do with it, what becomes of that work.
Yes. It's very important to instill values in a child when they're young, like the Proverbs verse that says train up a child in the way he should go. And I have found that very true. And I feel like my children live by Christian principles as adults and almost adult. And it is satisfying. And sometimes you want to go when you look at them and the choices they make or something they do, and you want to go, hey, you know what? I did a pretty good job with them, and it's satisfying.
That's great. That's awesome. That's a great outlook. What do you wish the younger you knew that you know now? And that could be business wise or mom.
So much. I didn't have my kids until I was in my early 30s. So I had nieces and nephews that were my kids before I had my own. And I feel like that prepared me a lot for motherhood, but nothing prepares you for that first child. So as far as motherhood goes, take the advice from the people who have been there, sit at their feet and listen to anything that they can tell you about raising kids because it takes everybody. You can't just do it by yourself. As a career person, businesswoman, I would be, I would say don't be afraid to do something bold, go after what you want, even if everyone around you says it doesn't make sense and they don't understand. If that's what's on your heart, I feel like if we have something, placed on our hearts, God's placing it there, and don't be afraid to act on those little nudges that you get. Be bold. Just ask for guidance. And, realistically, I wish as a younger person, especially being a woman, I don't think women are taught much about money and investments and so forth. We're still in that old mentality that that's a men's game, but
Mhm.
it's not, especially if you're going to be a business owner. So we need to start learning that when we're young. And I've started teaching my children about not acquiring debt and making sure you contribute to your 401k and look at investments and so forth, because it's important to start that young so you're not playing catch up when you're older.
Mhm. I totally agree on both of those points that you made, that it takes a village when you're a mom. Take in all the information and advice you can get. You don't have to follow it all, but at least listen to it and and see what works with your family. But on the business side, like you were saying, the financial aspects that women are not exposed to because we're still living in the past or old-fashioned ways of, well, that's a man's job to take care of, all the financial aspects. And like you said, if we're a women-owned business, we need to know the financial aspect, getting started and just running the business day to day. So I totally agree. Those are both things that I also wish that I would have known and heeded more in my younger days. So last question, any advice besides the financial and taking the heed? Is there anything else you'd like to share with moms or business owners or someone, a woman trying to open her own business? Like any advice you could share from your experience?
Sure. When I started my business, I wasn't aware of the importance of mindset. And that's become something really important to me in recent months. And when you are start a new venture, I think you get so focused on whatever certification or training you need or getting things in place, and you're not focusing on what your mind is thinking. So you need to approach everything with that you're going to be successful and
Mhm.
this is what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So don't underestimate that being just as powerful as all these little moving pieces you got to get in place. And I wish I'd had that from the very beginning. Fortunately, I met some people that kind of guided me in the right direction, and I have a mindset manifest coach that is just integral to my everyday life. And so I would truly recommend that you look into that for yourself. And not only if you're starting a business, but just if you have something in your life that you want to improve. It's so important.
It is. I mean, the power of positive thinking and envisioning, that success and having a good attitude about it instead of worrying about all those small little details and the things you don't have, the pieces you don't know how they're going to work yet. You just take that first step and just keep moving forward and keep your head up and stay positive. I mean, I agree. Those are all really
Yeah.
powerful ways to be successful.
Yes. As my mindset coach told me, I'm not responsible for all the little chess pieces that happen in my life. So you have to let that go and you have to you have to stop thinking about every little detail and just think about the end result and just trust that all those pieces are going to fall in place. And it's hard, it's really hard, especially if you're a control freak like me,
Yeah.
but it's something you have to work on and not worry about the, how you're going to get from A to B. Of course, you have to do the work. I'm not saying that you sit there and not do anything, but staying up at night worrying about every little detail doesn't get you anywhere.
That's right. And we can't control other people. So if we have to rely on somebody to approve an application or get a license, and that process seems long and drawn out, there's nothing really we can do about it. If we've put our steps in, like you said, and we've done the work, we just have to trust that the timing is going to work out. I'm also a self-professed control freak, so I totally get that.
Mhm.
It's so hard to like let that go and be like, why can't they just do this, in a timely manner? Well, that's just not the way it works. And sometimes that's not the way God wants it to work. It's in his timing and
Right.
his timing's perfect. So it's that's a hard one to trust,
That's
especially
right. Because we have to remember that things are not just working out for us, they're working out for other people.
yes,
So there's a lot of there's a lot of pieces involved in that. So the world isn't just about us and our wants and needs. It's about the good for everyone. And you just have to trust that it's all going to work out.
that's right. There's a lot of moving parts that we're just one little part in the big picture. So that you put that really well. I like the way you phrase that. It's a good practical example of how it's not all about us. I like it. Awesome. Okay, I have one bonus question. If you, I like to just throw an extra that a question in there. If you could choose what you are remembered for in this life, what would it be?
I think I could sum it up by saying generosity. I want to be generous with my time and how I care about people. And that's exciting for me as a business owner to look ahead to what I might be able to do with my success. And I don't want to be necessarily remembered as someone who did well and was successful. I want to be remembered by how I make someone feel, whether it's that I gave them time that they needed or that I helped them out of a bad situation. So that would be my answer to that.
That's great. That's a good answer. Well, I want to congratulate you on being in business for yourself. That's a big accomplishment. And I think that you're going to do well. You have a great attitude, and I appreciate your time today. And I thank you for being on the Work Harder Mama podcast. And if anybody has any questions or would like to reach out to Julie, her information will be shared in the comment section. So everybody have a great day and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it and look forward to hearing.
Thank you for listening to the Work Harder Mama podcast. If you would like to learn more about any tips that are shared on the podcast, I did write a book. It's a devotional for moms. It's called Work Harder Meditations for Moms. season by season. You can also follow us on Instagram at WorkHarter, which is WorkHearter, or Work Harder Mama. On Facebook, we are at Work Harder Press, and our website is www.workharder.com.